Don't look now, but these competitors are maybe starting to get the hang of this. Plus, Kyland is rolling solo. Corey gets caught scheming. Nurys channels Scuba Nelly to no avail. Ed checks yet another box. Hookups are getting real messy. Hughie bows out, and this historian's sad. And a big old pride party for Queen T. Say no more. I am there. It's the challenge. Battle for a new champion. Episode 4 recap coming up right now. What up, my fellow challenge lovers? Welcome to The Challenge Historian, where we dive deep into all things MTV's The Challenge, past, present, or future. If it's happening in the Challenge universe, then we are here to document it. I am your host and dedicated Challenge Historian, Jacob Hollowell. Thank you so very, very much for being here with me tonight for the second of the two-part extravaganza. Episode 3, we've put that podcast out. Episode 4 is this podcast. If you are just tuning in first thing on a Thursday morning or anytime after that fact, and you stayed up late Wednesday night to watch this unexpected double episode of The Challenge, 2.5 hours worth, yes, I broke this up into 2 podcasts. So there is a possibility, a decent possibility, that if you just went and click play on the most recent episode and you were thinking, where's the episode 3 coverage? Well, it was in the last one. So if that's you and you need to go back one, go ahead and do so. We covered all things episode 3 in the last podcast episode. Now here in this one, we will be covering just episode number 4. I felt the need to break it up. I explained a little bit why back on that one. So if you haven't listened to it yet, hop back, then come here, do them in order, do them out of order. Honestly, I don't know. The opinions would stay the same. Not a lot would change. You could do them out of order if you want to. So yeah, heck yeah. If you're driving along, you're like, I don't want to, hands-free, baby. We don't want to be messing that up. That's fine. Just keep it right on rolling. Either way, I appreciate you being here. Programming reminders then. Again, obviously, episode 3 already happened. This is episode 4. Survivor 45 will be this weekend. B-Fank will be coming back again next Wednesday. That's what we got for November, December, until these 2 seasons are over and we enter, I would assume, a decently prolonged off season going into the new year, probably a month or 2 at least, unless they surprise drop All-Stars 4. Christmas All-Stars 4? What if they dumped all of All-Stars 4 on Christmas? Oh my God, I just literally had that thought in the moment, and they shouldn't do that, I don't think, but it would also be the best Christmas present anyone could ever give me or you or any of us Challenge fans. But regardless, rest of the year, it looks like B-Fank Wednesday night, Survivor 45. Over the weekend, agenda for this evening, episode 4 only. That's the last time I'll say that. Same as usual, storylines, awards, power rankings, predictions. Here we go. Let's dive in. B-Fank, episode 4. Let's do it. Starting, as we always tend to do, at the house. A couple, we're not at the house very long, but a couple things worth pointing out and discussing. First and foremost, Kyland points out that he is the only one there to have not played with someone else in the house before, and I don't think I realized that. I might just have a bad memory, and maybe I did realize this on the preview podcast. I don't know, but I don't think I did. I don't think this is a bad memory moment. I think this is just totally missed that one moment. That's a super disadvantage that I had not thought of, and certainly leaves him in a quite a tricky spot to be the only person coming in from, that USA season and having not played with any of these people before. Definitely a tricky spot to be in. I had not picked up on it, and it highlights what we kind of ended the episode 3 coverage talking about with this US crew. There's just, yes, they have a strong, big contingent of people all working together, but we constantly see all these different moments in the house where different little duos, different trios, different groups of 4 or 5 are having a conversation, and 1 or 2 others walk in. It's always an intermixed group. Some people have number 1 solid. Some people have number 2 solid. Some people, like Kyland, don't, though, and leaves them in a precarious position. That leads me right into saying Asaf and Corey, we get, having, chatting, doing a little workout, being buds. Loved seeing that. Love that they're buddies. But I had the same note there as I had about Kyland of like, oh yeah, they just really, and it seems like they're doing this on purpose. It's good storytelling on their part, but they're kind of starting to hit it over the head of like, oh, Asaf and Corey are tight, but are they number 1 with each other? No, because Asaf has Jay, right? Well, like, who's Corey's number 1? Corey seems to be in a leadership position in this US group, but also, is he actually like the top person in anyone else's mind within this alliance? It's strange. And it's going to be a straight up mess when they have to start saying each other's names at some point down the line. There's going to be a big break and it's going to get messy and ugly. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And speaking of it getting a little messy and ugly, we'll now talk about Corey and Zara, because we didn't talk about it on the last one because we already knew the new information that would come in episode 4, which is what we find out in this opening segment, that Corey did not just kind of threaten, haha, kind of style, Zara and Mariah when they explained the burn vote strategy to them. He threatened them, haha style, and then he actually went and tried to get people to say Zara's name. And it didn't work, and no one went for it. But she did eventually find out about it and isn't loving it. Wasted effort. Wasted effort. This was wasteful on Corey's part. There's no real purpose here. If he framed it differently and we see a very short snippet of how he proposed it to one group of people, so maybe he did frame it this way. I don't know. I'm guessing that like 6 seconds wasn't the only time it was brought up if he was going to make a real effort at it. Maybe it was. I don't know. But he needed, if he was going to do something like this, purely frame it as not as a like, I'm kind of like, I'm annoyed that the women are doing this. And so like, it'll be funny. Like, let's do Zara. Are you good with Zara? If it was framed as like, we got rid of a weak member of the US Alliance before. I think Raven's with us. We need to go for a UK. We need to go for one like the stronger UK women. Let's go Zara. Frame it that way. And maybe I'm with you. Just framed as kind of like a throw out, like let's cause a little chaos here. Doesn't seem to really have a purpose. I love that he's being messy. He always brings the entertainment. There's a reason he is right there with Ed and Michelle. Those are the three I am all in on rooting for. Absolutely my favorites on this season. I'm rooting for him to win. I'm rooting for him to either win or get second to Ed. Either way. But damn it, Corey, tighten it up. We're off to the daily challenge. Diving is hard in the water. They made this one doable, though. Unlike a couple recent ones where the diving down in the water has been like straight up like, man, this is, I think they're maybe underestimating how hard this is, or they really want to make it that hard. I don't know. But this one seemed more manageable, more in the appropriate difficulty level of how deep and the rope to be able to pull yourself and that everything else. Overall, I loved it. The rules, as usual, made no sense. When was Ed allowed to go? When, what did they wait for? What was the cue? What was it just to like, there's only this much time left on. Nurys has attempted this many times. We have no idea the rules, but we know that Ed is amazing at this. He's a beast in the water. Noted. What box has Ed not checked at this point? Because I know I've come in as this Ed super fan and I have all this bias and I'm rooting for him. But also slowly but surely, I'm just like, he also he checks every box in this game. Does he not? Like, he's very strong. I know he lost that pole wrestle and it bothers me to this day that he lost that pole wrestle, but like, he's very strong in a headbanger. Like, he's short, but he's super strong, super jacked. So he's got physical strength. I guess we haven't seen him run like endurance run. So maybe not. But for being a really big, bulky guy, he's short. So that's at least helpful when it comes to like, if they're on a mountain and everything, where the big guy stuff really, really does like play a factor, but he's super smart. We see him do the math last challenge. Everyone likes him. He's super social. He might not have, the tightest allies in the house because he's as new as any of these people and has played with as few of these people as everyone not named Kyland, but he still seems to be doing really well socially. He can swim really fast. It's shown here. He's just checking a lot of boxes. I got to say, my guy Ed, absolute beast. I knew there was a reason I love this guy. Corey, Jay also do really, really well in the water. Noted. I don't think I was 100% aware of either of them being a really good swimmer, but they proved to be very fast swimmers, very adept in the water here. Olivia, James, Michelle, also shout outs, no problems, pretty quick through it. Everyone else does it, so no problems for anyone. Noteworthy that Big T, it takes her a second, but she does get it on the next to try and says, mentions water's her strong suit, most comfortable there. I think I remembered that. I don't think that's the first time she shared that, but it was just a thing to kind of re-put on her resume. Where is she the most comfortable? She likes the water-based stuff as long as she's not hanging super high over it and actually just gets to start in it. Melissa getting it after that long was shocking, to be honest. Not shocking that she got it. Shocking that after that length of time, they had reached the point where I was like, Melissa and Nurys are not getting this. Like, you would have either gotten it by now, or like you've reached the point of like it's not going to happen, and you're too worked up and you've tried too many times and you're tired and panicked and the whole other thing. So that she in that moment got to that stage and then overcame and did it was a big notch in her belt. I figured she was going to be in the same boat as Nurys. Nurys has to be really mad in this moment that she ended up being in that boat alone, that Melissa couldn't hang out with her and continued to not get it. It seemed like it was hard enough that at least two people wouldn't do it. So it was really tough for Nurys to be like, damn it, like it sucks that I can't do this, but it also kind of sucks that I'm the only one that can't do it. It seems like maybe there would at least be one or two other people who maybe would struggle in the same way. So tough look for her. But they end up getting it done. Again, whatever the rules be damned, they figure it out. They get it done with 3 seconds left. Maybe, who knows? I never trust the timers. They show us prize money's up to four. I almost said 4.5. It's not 4.5. $406,000, which is still not even half of the amount that it should be. But at least they're playing for more than the 300,000 that they played for back in the single-digit seasons of the challenge. Then we have a big old pride party for Big T, coming out party for her. What a wonderful moment. What a wonderful stage and platform for herself and for the entire community to get to have some shine here. And I also love, I love it for her. I love it for the big celebration that it is, but I also love that it paints production into a corner that like, hey, we're having this big old party. You need to give us, and because of the reasons of the party and the importance of highlighting the reasons, you are required to actually give us the materials to make a cake, give us some alcohol, and you actually have to show this in the episode. So it's like forcing them into like, we're going to have a big old party and you have to show it because it's important and it's wonderful. And so, yeah, I love everything about this party, this scene. It does eventually, we get some nice toasts. Melissa gives a nice toast to Big T. We get a couple nice conversations between Hughie and Corey and Asaf and Emmanuel, who are dressed up in drag in it. It's all great. It's all a wonderful, wonderful celebration. And eventually it turns into couples corner with Michelle and Callum first, getting real serious. He is totally, just he can't even keep his words straight anymore. He tells her he literally thinks about her every waking moment of the day, the whole thing. And God, it's awful. No new commentary here. It just gets more awful the more they show it and the more the producers lean into it in the confessional, which they lean in hard during the confessional. And like, so we need you to say the words, you have a girlfriend. And the longer it takes you to just say unequivocally, I have a girlfriend, the more we're going to keep asking you and showing you these awkward confessionals in the episode. Yeah, tough stuff. But then, not to be outdone, although it was nowhere near outdone, Mariah and James, her and Lockie, getting along real well. They eventually consummate those wonderful feelings by at least getting some cuddling. But, cuddling, the sheets were pulled over the head. Who knows what's going on under there? But they're having a good time. They're enjoying each other's presence and company, to say the least. And then she feels really bad about it because, as we find out, at this stage, she is still kind of in some form or fashion with Johnny Bananas, who the two of them got together in the least charismatic, the least chemistry between them of most couples we've ever seen on the show back on Ride or Dies. But they continued to hang out outside of the show. And we get the update here that, it's been about a year at this point since they first, hooked up on Ride or Dies. And they would never have called each other boyfriend or girlfriend, but they have consistently hung out. And that is why she has absolutely nothing to feel bad about or be worried about. You are not dating. Okay. If you're not like actual labels dating, but just hanging out dating for a full year, there's a reason. He, if anything, he is not upset. He watches this episode, and I guarantee you this is exactly what happens. If he might not say it out loud, I don't know, but his truth serum, Johnny Bananas, sees this episode and he says, Mariah, thank you. You helped me. I was a part of a storyline on an episode of a season I was not on, and that I'm not one of the vets that gets to come in and do the thing later, and yet I get to be a part of a storyline. And he would be thanking her. Okay. He would be thanking her. Nothing to worry about. Go bang Lockie, have fun, do that. We know later in the season, Tori's going to come in and be like, Mariah, what the hell are you doing? When she finds out about it, that's in the trailer multiple times. And it's like, no, come on. No, none of this matters. Bananas isn't upset. I doubt it. Mariah shouldn't be upset. I doubt, I doubt she is now in that moment. I get why she is. I understand. I'm empathetic, but go do you, go have a good time. And don't worry about him back at home. He's happy to make an appearance, even if just verbally, in a couple flashback clips from Ride or Dies in this season. We then have our deliberation. The UK guys in particular seem to really like being, really forward to open these things. We had Callum do it once, very forward and aggressive opening statement. We had Kieran in a softer form do the opening statements. And now we have Lockie come out, who definitely could have framed this better for his mate Hughie. That I would have felt, if the only person I would really feel a way about if I'm Hughie is Lockie, for like, hey dude, I kind of get that, like, if we were the two names and someone says the two names, that's kind of what we're starting to do with these deliberations. But like, you got to frame that better. You framed it as like, it's kind of me and I'm supposed to be your friend. I would be upset with him if I was Hughie. Hughie's kind of upset with everyone. And the main thing I'll say about all the arguments that then take place is, I would really like, the challenge gets bogged down in its vocabulary sometimes and locked in on just a couple specific words. It's not just the challenge. It happens in Survivor. I would imagine it happens in Big Brother, maybe even worst of all. But we need to stop just saying strong and weak over and over and over. We need to say like good competitor versus worst competitor, because when they're talking about this stuff, and when, like, in Hughie's case, they're all saying we think he's kind of the worst overall competitor on the male side. They're not saying strong. They're not referencing he's got the least muscles. If a few of them are, they don't understand what actually wins this game, and that's fine. They won't end up winning this game. But they always just constantly use the word strong or weak in replacement of like overall good competitor, overall not. And I love Hughie to death, but it just is what it is, that it's seemingly he isn't quite the well-rounded competitor that some of the men in the house are. Some of the men are not. I don't know that he's the worst competitor there by any means, but I would put him, if I group them in tiers, I think he would be in the bottom tier, and there would be probably more people that are willing to admit it or realize it, would be in that tier with them, and less that would actually maybe be in the kind of top tier of fully well-rounded. You've got pretty much all your bases covered here from everything that you need to be good in this game. But if anything, if I'm him, I would go the route of like playing up to that. I know at this point of the game, they're still doing the whole, we have to work together. If only they knew that they might not have to actually work together again, and that they might need to turn their attention now to bigger threats and go the opposite way of the way they kind of go with this vote, and lean more into, we like him. We like having him around. He makes the house more fun and enjoyable. So I wouldn't have been voting for him if I'm any of those other guys in the house. But just overall, when discussing all this stuff, I wish it wouldn't always get boiled down to like one or two words. And in this case, it's always just like strong player, weak player. And it's like, we're mixing signals on what we're actually saying with that. So wish we wouldn't do that. I know when they do the full circle of all the guys, pleading their case, that some of the guys are kind of like messing around with it and joking around with it, but they're not good speeches. I don't care if they're kind of joking, being silly. They're not good speeches. Jay, most especially of all, when he does the, like, I haven't betrayed any of you yet. And it's just like, don't say that. Just don't say it. Like, there's no need. It's not worth the joke. If no one took it as a joke, by the way, people put that in the back of their head. Okay. Even if, just don't say it. Don't say it. Afterwards, then, it seems like it's going to be Hughie, but a few other names are floated. Most notably, James is floated, but no real movement comes from that. So we'll quickly just check back in with what we started the storylines with, of like the whole, like, who's with who and who really is in the large U.S. alliance, because we have, when James is floated, it's Nurys, Michelle, Kyland, and Corey talking, and then Olivia, Asaf, Emmanuel, and Jay come in. And so I think at this point, we've seen enough times where Kyland and Emmanuel have come into the conversations and been welcomed and allowed to be a part of them. in the background always, but a part of them, and not told to leave or no information withheld. So I think Kyland and Emmanuel clearly are with the US side at this point. I think if I were to try to break down, Asaf and Jay are a tight duo. Those are number ones. Those are best buds outside the game. Michelle and Jay are also number ones, and Jay can have, this works because it's a number one on the men's side and the women's side, so it works for the most part. Nurys, Olivia, Mariah for now. Mariah, I apologize. That was ridiculous. Mariah, Olivia, Nurys for now are a super tight trio. Corey kind of doesn't have a number one, as we've said. But he feels more firmly in the mix with the whole crew than Kyland does, maybe even a little bit than Ed does, and then certainly than Colleen and Manuel, who I think are just purely like they need a spot to be. They've chosen the right side numbers wise, and for now are like, we'll float at the bottom of this until we sense that that's not a good place to be, and then we'll execute as best we can on any kind of middle ground floater type of strategy. But that's kind of where that alliance stands at this point. Finally, we end in the arena. The game is fun. It continues the trend from USA 2 that I loved of being a little random, a little bit goofy, still strategy needed, still some skill needed, still poise needed for sure. Anyone could win it. I love it. I know they were polarizing on USA 2. I heard from many of you back in the DMs. It was probably the thing most commented on from anyone that wanted to chat, which, as always, at Challenge Historian on Instagram. I know I don't post any content on there, but I do check the DMs, and that's where I chat with folks about this wonderful, crazy, goofy show that we all love so much. And, the polarization checked out. Some people were with me, loved them. Some people are just not a fan, and I totally understand the point of view and the reasons why, and I just fall on the other side on this one. And so I'm guessing that same crowd is probably like, yeah, I don't love this at all, and me and all of us on the other side are like, continues the trend. I love it. These are the types of eliminations I want. This or pole wrestle. That's it. No in between. I like it a lot. I wonder how long it took in total. It's yet another one. I would love the full unedited footage, like up on YouTube after. Let me watch the full match, no edits at all, just full time through. Wonder how long it took. Kyland with kind of the random, but I like it random Jordan facts of like, I studied one of the greats. Jordan lost 2 eliminations in multiple of his wins. So maybe this is just me, putting the positive spin on it. I like everything about it. It was random, but I liked everything about that reference 2 times. And it works really well because we then get the sneak peek in the commercial break in the middle of this elimination. Get the sneak peek that confirms what we had kind of thought the champ situation was going to be starting next week in the chaos segment of this game. Jordan will be the first one, and it was TJ declares that he will get the chance to knock someone out of the game and take $10,000 out of their prize pot if he wins. So everything that we knew, that's wonderful. Jordan as first up. Obviously, they're going to save Kara and CT for like the hammer at the very end. It's going to be a big, big moment. They're going to build up to that. And it would feel, if anyone had to come after them, it would feel a certain way. So I think they picked exactly right. You pick kind of the second biggest, scariest name that they're going to throw in there to have open it. If you're going to have CT and Kara, I presume, maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't think I am. Close it. Jordan is the right pick for that. Kyland gets the win. Hughie goes home. It's a bummer. I love Hughie to death, and I think he's fantastic for this television program, and I look forward. The only thing, silver lining, is that now I need to check his Twitter. That's for damn sure. I need to see what kind of tea he's spilling because he's always one willing to say what happened behind the scenes that wasn't shown, and so I look forward to that, but I wish he was still around. But Kyland remains, gets to give Melissa a big old hug, and we continue into the awards. Best quote for this episode, 3 nominees. First one, Zara. My goodness. I'm a Pisces. I'm fish. I can fucking swim. Look at these shoulders. Have you not seen them? I look like a coat hanger, and coat hangers float, so bring it on. End quote. Wow. Quote of the season nominee right there. Just out of nowhere, Zara comes over the top with just an incredible one. Ed, second nominee. I'm not built like Michael Phelps. I'm built like a damn gorilla, but in the water, I'm a damn shark. I just wanted to reference again how great Ed was at swimming, and that he went 3 for 3 on the diving portion and everything. And I just really like Ed. And then Olivia and Michelle. had back-to-back great lines during all the men giving their speeches during Deliberation. I didn't write down either line that they said, but they were both great. I did then write down, though, the reason I didn't go back and write them down was because Michelle finishes it with, quote, I was going to say circle jerk, but I don't think I could say that, kind of under her breath, but like, you still said circle jerk and they still put it in because you're allowed to say it and you're not the first ever to say it on the challenge. And it was great and wonderful. So she gets nominated, and shout out to Olivia, who deserved a nominee that I didn't write down because Zara's winning. Zara's winning. I mean, have you not seen them? I look like it's just the best. The best. Best moment. Speaking of best moment, 5 nominees. First one, Corey and Hughie, as they're putting together the fruit plates, and they realize that they have not made them look that pretty, and they decide they're going to blame them looking like shit on James and Kieran. And I just enjoyed the two of them, that conversation. But then at the end, that they're just both, these look like shit, right? Yeah, we should totally say James and Kieran did it. Okay, great. Love that. Second one, Asaf, Manuel, Hughie, and Corey, the conversation they have, having Asaf and Manuel do the drag, and then just having the conversation about what the party means to them, and just having the pride and having the ally and everything else. So that's wonderful. That's great. Third nominee. I didn't reference this before, and I don't know how. Hughie's, as they start to throw out some fun party questions, kind of like a never have I ever, but like not just kind of like a fun, they starts off with most likely to not sleep in their own bed that night, and there's some cute pointing from all the couples at each other and stuff. But then Hughie just drops most likely to cheat on their partner back home. And I believe it was the Caffeine Confessional crew had all their hosts had just the best screenshot of Callum in that moment. Incredible editing work of his face just frozen in terror when Hughie says that. It's just fantastic. What a moment. Fourth nominee, Olivia and Michelle talking shit about the guys at Deliberation. Just referenced it. It was fantastic. And then fifth and final one, the elimination game. The moment Kyland couldn't hit that shot for a bit, I actually became unsure of the result, which doesn't happen that often in the eliminations, but they had me back on the edge of my seat briefly, and I just thought the elimination was pretty fun and entertaining overall. Of those 5 nominees, though, I've got to give it to Hughie's most likely to cheat on their partner tonight, and the reaction from Callum. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. What a freeze frame. Episode MVP, Lockie in 5th, Ed and Asaf in 4th, just because they both deserve shout outs for every episode. We're 4 for 4 in Ed and Asaf not being a part of any of the storylines, but being a part of the entertainment of every single episode, and proving why they're both fantastic cast members to have in this house. They find little ways to add something entertaining via confessional, via an interaction in the house, via one of the party scenes, something. I just like both of them. They deserve the shout out. Corey Lay 3rd, Mariah 2nd, but of course, the MVP of this episode. It was sad he's got to go home, but he leaves with one final trophy, at least from this historian. Hughie is the MVP of episode 4. Now to our power rankings. On the men's side, nothing changes, and on the women's side, nothing changes. I know I said that I tried to not take episode 4 into account when I did them for episode 3, but nothing much changed anyways, but it was hard not to. And so, they're staying the same. Horacio, Ed, Kieran, tied for 4th, Asaf and Jay, 5th for Corey, technically 6th. I guess I've got the men's side out to 6 at this point. Women's side, Olivia, Michelle, Mariah, Nurys, Zara. I just think the U.S. women have this on lock for as long as they can stay in lockstep with each other. And so those 4 just are at the top of it for me. And I like Olivia's spot the best. And that's where they're at. And then on the men's side, similar, I just think Horacio has the most clearly defined top people within the alliance, and is, as good of a competitor as any of them. And we see in this episode, we get the mention of it's probably not even worth targeting him because of how well he did last season. Sorry, the hiccups coming in late night here as we close out these back-to-back podcasts. I love Ed's position. I think Kieran's in the best from the UK standpoint. I think the US is going to wipe the floor with the UK side, though, as is clearly predicated. These power rankings are predicated on that assumption and that fact, which is probably wrong, because prediction time, all of my predictions as far has been wrong. I have gotten 0 right so far. So we're going to try to go for just some obvious layups next episode, just to see if we can get one right. Okay, so number one, Jordan will win the elimination. That's number one. Jordan wins eliminations. He's very good at doing so. And I'm fascinated to see what games they give each of these champions and how up their alley kind of they give it. They clearly don't want it to be like 10 champions come in and 10 champions win elimination. I'm sure if they could choose, it would be an even split and there would be some like big upsets and some dominant performances by the champs, a nice mixture of everything. But I think the first one, they're going to set a tone. I think Jordan is going to set a tone, and Jordan is the one of any of them. One, the only thing that's ever been tough is, Jordan had to do a pole wrestle one time. And it's like, okay, that one, that's not going to work out so great. They're not going to do that in this scenario to him. I'm guessing it's not going to be a pole wrestle. And even if it is, I think he beats a lot of the people in the house, finds a way as usual. But he's as well-rounded as an elimination threat has been in the history of this show. So regardless of what they give him, whether it's up his alley, quote unquote, or not, it's kind of all up Jordan's alley. That's kind of his thing, is that he's good at all of it. So he will win the elimination if we get to see it. I don't know if we'll actually get to see it or not, if it'll just be the reveal at the end of the episode. I hope not. Wish for next episode. I hope we get to see the elimination. Second prediction then is I don't know. Do you think they maybe let them do one more daily challenge as a group to win 50K and then changes to the chaos? I don't know. Maybe it does. I'm going to predict that it does. I predict they get to stay and they win 50 grand to bank one more time to let them build that back up. And I'm going to stop there and hope that I at least go 1 for 2 on those. Those are your predictions. That's your power rankings, your awards, your storylines, your everything episode 4, and it was your everything episode 3. Thank you so much for being here all late night, evening, all through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever you were listening to these. What an amount of time we've committed to the challenge this week. I do not know if there's a double episode next week. I think this was a one-time thing. I don't know if there was a planned purpose behind it, if it was a last-second thing, if it was always the plan. I do not know. But all I know is this. We will cover the show episode by episode as it happens. So if by any the challenge gods so see it that we have 2 episodes again next week, then this historian will be back with 2 episodes. I'm not going to do a combo. They just would be too long. And I want to give each episode its true time in the sunlight because they've been wonderful. I've loved this season so far. It's living up to my admittedly kind of high expectations coming in. I'm loving it. I'm thrilled by it. I hope it continues. I look forward to seeing the champ element if it plays out as well as his opening 4 episodes have. Thank you for being here with me, recapping it all. As always, follow, subscribe, rate, review, all of that stuff helps immensely. DM me if you want to talk challenge. Love getting those. That helps immensely as well. Brings a lot of joy for me to get to do that and to get to hear your thoughts back. So thanks for being here. If you're watching Survivor, go watch that. Come back for that pod with me and Tony this weekend. Otherwise, I'll talk to you next week for more Beef Bank, baby. Peace.